Is to have visiting Professor Hersh Chadha, who has been working very much in ecological, the strengthening this mechanism. So welcome Professor Chadha to TUFM 107.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be with you and have the honor of speaking to you in your country. And I enjoy coming to this university. Today my subject is based on environment and issues related with environment in Nepal. I hope this presentation will be of some help and you all will enjoy this, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. It's very kind privilege for you to have come to Nepal and your experiences that you have shared last year also at Tribhuvan University and this year. So what is it that propels you to come to Nepal and share your experiences, especially on environmental issues and other topics of interest on photography, etc.?
Well, to start with, you have a beautiful country, and truly Nepal is a very important element in the biosphere of this part of the subcontinent because of the Himalaya range, and the impact it carries along with it. Not only to Nepal, but over a population of 1.4 billion people around this region. And it is something that cannot be overlooked. As a matter of fact, there are various areas that Nepal has been suffering from, and this is due to the effects of agriculture encroachment, deforestation, consequent soil erosion, contamination of water supply and air pollution, and of course one of the most important, which is waste generation, waste management control. Today I'd like to speak on these subjects.
Okay, it's a very great privilege that you'll be talking about these issues. So what do you think is the current most confronting issues, especially on ecological basis? You talked about deforestation and salination and river pollution as major.
The environmental threats that are really enforced in this region are basically conversion of forests into farmland, overgrazing of land by animals, forest fires, excessive extraction of timber and fuel wood, poaching, and population growth. It was said by John Mickler, who is the managing director of the Eastern Himalayan World Wildlife Fund, and he said, if you want to bring about conservation of species that needs lots of area to roam, you have to work with people that are living there. They have to understand this problem. If we really want to preserve something like the tiger, we have to enable the creature to roam, to keep its genetic diverse. The ultimate goal is to connect protected areas with a green corridor that will allow tiger populations to move from one park to another. I would say it's extremely important to connect national parks so that the freedom of animals and the roaming of them is significant. In conclusion, I would like to add in saying that there are immediate needs, and these needs have to take immediate response. There is a lack of systematic data, and this should be addressed immediately. And the importance of protecting the environment for ensuring a bright and safe future for the country should be stressed by all individuals living in the country and visiting the country. I must say that this is extremely important, and I hope people who are hearing this understand that when they walk home, that paper lying on the road will make the difference, even if they pick it up and put it in their pocket, till they find a place to take it. The beauty in this is not that you are doing the wrong thing, but you're doing the right thing the wrong way. The moment we start doing it the right way, it will solve the problem.
Thank you, Professor Hersh Chadha. You emphasized, underlined the needs for doing things for sustainable ecological balance, especially in terms of Nepal. I'd like to just divert the conversation a little bit and go beyond Nepal and other regions also. how do you analyze all this situation of the world community, especially focusing on ecological, environmental issues, global warming, etc.?
Start with, this is a problem that we didn't come to in one night. It's a problem that we lived with through generations. And we let the problem live, waiting for a quick fix. There is no quick fix throughout the world on this. But especially this region in the environment is very important, as I said, because almost 1/5 of the world's population lives in this region, and it can be immensely affected through the glacial melting that is happening in the Himalayan region. I think globally people recognize that.
Alternative type of energy resources and small hydroelectricity projects like that. So these types of things, and even garnering cooperation between nations, especially with India in terms of the energy allocation like that. So what do you think, how best to improve to make it more effective, these types of structures?
I think legislation, the parliament and other issues have to have a greater budget towards the environment and to a greater budget towards these institutions that are trying to create more awareness. And I think once the funds are available and they are put to proper use, I think this will make a big difference when it comes to creating that consciousness among people and being able to look into it. I know biogas is a good effort that is being tried, and emphasis should be put on the biogas and also on the issue of the friendly forests. But you know, the thing is that everybody knows what to do, but nobody does it.
Yes.
And nobody is going to do it unless you're going to put fear in them or give them an incentive to do it. So that's the government's role, to put that kind of awareness that enables people to do that in that direction.
At this point of this fear and bringing certain type of awareness system to generate this type of environmental consciousness amongst the people, especially the issues of protection of the wildlife like that, and photography and water, major source of hydro, yes, especially for drinking purposes, irrigation. Balancing these acts in a more sustainable manner that was used during the Vedic period like that, and bringing it into practice, not only as you talked about this technology, modern technology, harnessing the modern technology as well as the traditional technology, and bridging those gaps like that, and cost-effective, more simpler forms. Don't you think dramatic changes can be done this way as it was done in Costa Rica?
I mean, they can, but in Costa Rica there was a very different reason, and that was that the government was able to emphasize how important it was, and they created that immense fear among people that they have to do it, because on one side they have the Atlantic Ocean, on the other side they have the Pacific Ocean, and this was the roadway between both of them, and a lot of ships were coming to the Atlantic side and moving their goods across the Pacific side rather than going through the Panama Canal or going through South America. But the point still remains that the government has to create this awareness, has to give people an opportunity, has to create the direction where they can go. Suppose I want to do something for Nepal, for my beautiful Nepal. What do I do? Who do I go to? Which agency do I speak to? You tell me plant a tree, where do I get the soil? Where do I get the seed? And where should I plant that tree? In my house? Outside my house? Where do I go? So designated areas, if are easily accessible to an average population, they are in a position then to use the resources, even if it is not money. It's just the idea of walking there and doing something about it.
Thank you very much for your so wise comments like that. Now, especially focusing on major educational needs and aspirations in terms of formal as well as informal. This type of informal structure, which is very much prevalent in South Asia also, learning like that, and ecological balance, keeping it like that, impacting the world. How do you think this type of more managed system can be achieved, and what could be the priority areas?
Well, I think you can have a green talk show on your dish channel, and you can have the industry sector to sponsor such a thing. You can have a green television channel, which is purely talking with issues related within Nepal and going out with a cameraman and someone from the journalism department going and carrying TV reports and showing exactly what the issues are, if you can get airtime and get that sponsored by those agencies from the industry sector, because as the urbanization is taking place, it's only taking place in 4 or 5 locations in Nepal. It's not happening all over the place.
Yes.
But what is happening is attracting all the rural resources, whether manpower or whether natural resources, into this area. And these are becoming the conflict points. So I think so, getting awareness through television, through radio is still one of the areas of educating people. And I think we should have more on the education side, on the curriculum, to bring it to a school level rather than just keeping it on the environmental studies in the university. So these are certain areas. But for an uneducated man, at least if he realizes that he is going to benefit in some way, rather than even walking 5 kilometers with a biogas plant next to him, it will help. You see, we have a post box, we have a lamp post, but we also need something more than a post box and a lamp post in every village. We need a school, we need a hospital, we need some services for communication, but still it started with a post box. From that post box came the lamp post. From that lamp post came the school, and from the school came the hospital. Now we need something greater than that, and that is that every village should have the sense of pride of conserving its environment, of being intellectually well fed with statistical data. If they don't do this, this is what is going to happen. Because some of them are not even aware of what is happening and are not even bothered about it. We have to work now for our grandchildren. We work for ourselves every day. Let us work 1 week in our life for others, for our grandchildren. Help save this environment and help save this beautiful country, Nepal.
So, Chadha, you raised this point very much of sustainability, and even when Lord Buddha was walking and preaching like that, they used to plant trees, and Vedic tradition also had this learning of sense of learning in the forests and using that tranquility like that and making it very sustainable. So this awareness generation, sustainability, what really hampered, especially this modernization, or not very much aware or not initiative, or the skills and the technology, other things like that? I mean, how can you change it in a more integrative manner? How do you foresee, especially for the, let's say, 1 decade?
Traditionally, I think we're all in the Dasara and Diwali mood. And I think traditionally also, as you said, Lord Buddha preached and he understood and he created peace, because he knew that peace comes from balance in nature and humans, among animals, humans, and for the whole habitat. But I think we must use information technology, which is easily available now in Nepal. Even small villages have internet. And we should use that in terms of creating a beautiful content to be able to empower villagers, to empower people to understand what are the problems in their area. Look, a small country like Bhutan has a happy meter. You make a green meter in your country. Start with a green meter and work on that green meter. Start right from this institution and start with a green gear, bring it on the wires and keep that going. Have that green meter showing the world that whether you're going up or down and showing it statistically. I think that's a beautiful idea. The young in this country, they need a sense of purpose. If you can get the youth of Nepal to understand how important the environmental issue is, I'm sure if you get this movement, have a green meter, use technology, people will be more, look, you have more educated people in your cities. People will be more aware of the problems.
Yes, Professor Hersh Chadha, you also have had very much experiences on Middle East issues and problems and workings like that. Could you share some information, especially on the environmental preservation issues?
Yeah, I've worked very closely on a number of projects. One of them is the Arabian Leopard Trust, which was set up in the United Arab Emirates, and it's predominantly meant for saving the Arabian leopard species. And the reason is that there are very few mountainous areas in our region, and this animal is kind of difficult to survive because the urbanization of the area and the difficult area out there, from the temperature, it gets very, very hot over there. And we managed now to start the breeding of it. In the Middle East also, the desert oryx has gone into a breeding program. Certain bird species have gone into a breeding program. Even the migration of birds is changing pattern because they're all related with food, Wherever the food changes, the growth of food, the migration of animals and birds also change in that direction. The corridors are completely changing. I've also been involved in Africa with the cheetah project. I've been involved with China with the panda projects. And these projects I initiated, some of them by environmentalists seeking help from other institutions, some of them by the government, like in China for the panda bear. But most of these organizations, they definitely are successful. And the reason is that there is that passion among people in that area to try and save those animals.
Okay, Professor Chadha, so lastly, we'd like to ask for your wise comment, especially on the preservation of environment and ecological issues and other impacted issues. What would you like to say, especially as the whole world is moving towards fast modernization, sustainable type of ecological system and trying to improve and thinking about it very seriously?
Well, the population of the world was 300 million 2010 years ago when Jesus Christ walked on this planet. Today the population is close to 7 billion. I feel that we are very close, maybe a few years from the tipping point where the natural resources of this planet cannot support the population on this planet. So we don't have much time to sit and wait for the government or to wait for others, but we have to understand that there's something to be done now. It's not about cars throwing smoke out. It's not about overcrowded streets and cities. It's not about overgrazing and deforestation only. Those are the problems. But the biggest problem is you. You're doing nothing about these problems. So get up, start thinking about it, and get moving on it. I wish you all the best.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Hersh Chadha, for your very wise comments on the multifaceted aspects of ecological trends and ecological values and how a person can play an initiative, especially in terms of its relations with the nature as well as mankind. And you raise so many issues, so many dimensions of ecological issues on water and pesticides and so much bearings that has very much, especially on our part of the world, like that. Thank you very much. From TUFM 107, we welcome you. We also hope you have a nice your stay in Nepal because you just arrived yesterday, like that. So what could be your last comments?
Well, Nepal is a beautiful country with beautiful people. Keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.